Have you ever written a story? No, not like a high school 1 to 4 page fiction. I mean a real story, where a plot is laid out, characters are developed and have things to do, there's a rising action, climax, resolution, etc. If you have, and be honest with yourself here, was it good? My guess is probably not, and I'm not saying this to discourage new creatives, and I'm not saying that it's impossible, it's just really fucking hard. Writing an interesting and unique story is a challenge, so when a game can create multiple storyline threads and all of them are complex and interesting narratives, I feel like that's worth something. That's why I want to talk about The Yogg. The Yogg is an up to 4-player D&D style choose-your-own-adventure game. It works like this. You pick a location, you choose an option, that option gives you a little bit of story, and usually a second decision. Then your stats get moved around. This can also have an effect on your next choices and the next player's choices. For example, if you go to the hospital and choose to clean, leeches might escape from their containers, and if you try to get rid of them with magic and you don't have a high enough magic skill, they might escape the hospital. Then, if a different character goes to the garden, they might see a man about to get attacked by leeches, and if they try to save him and don't have a high enough magic stat, the man gets devoured by the leeches. This is the core loop, and it's what makes the game interesting. Make choices, see how they play out, and where it leads your character and how that affects the world. There are many different combinations of events. In order to see everything, you have to play the game a multitude of times. I've played the game for a few hours and probably more than 30 playthroughs, and I still feel like there are combinations of events that I haven't witnessed. I don't want to go through all the locations and their respective options and how they play out because I feel like that cheapens the game a bit. Part of the fun is discovering everything on your own. The thing that I want you to keep in mind is that the game has no actual gameplay besides picking options. Many games have tried to do this narrative-only style of storytelling, and they run into two big problems, for me personally. QTEs, which are also known as QuickTime events, this is where a button appears on screen and you have to press it to make something happen, and the other problem is linearity. It feels like most of these games conclude at the exact same place regardless of what choices you make. The exception to that is David Cage's Detroit Become Human, and I might talk about that one day, but The Yogg also suffers from the linearity issue. No matter what, The Yogg comes. I am now going to be talking about this game's ending. This comes with heavy spoilers, and if anything about this game seems interesting to you, I strongly recommend that you play it right now. It's very cheap and very short. This video will always be here for you afterwards. The Yogg has been building to this moment. It's finally here, and it tears down everything that you have known up until this point. The character that you play as has built up some stats in the last 6 weeks and probably has something that they're good at by now. This is because the game subtly encourages you to keep building the same stat by keeping the stat checks closely related with the stats earned in each particular area. Like the alchemy area builds magic, and you need magic to pass most stat checks that are located inside of the alchemy area. So when the Yogg hits, you now have a different type of choice to make. Instead of choosing an area to visit, you are picking a role to fill in the rebuilding efforts for the town. And how well you perform at that role is dictated by the stats that that role requires. Then, based on how each character performed at their new role, you get to see how the rebuilding efforts went and if the town survives. It's a simple bait and switch, but it's highly effective, and it's entirely carried by the writing. Any combination of narratives that you find in this game will be leaps ahead of any story found in a Ubisoft game. And that's what I want to really get across. If you have strong writing and nothing else, but you design your game around the writing, that can carry you by itself. You don't need 4K real-life melt-your-PC graphics, and you don't need an open world 4 times the real scale of Earth. You can just have a small, well-crafted narrative and create someone's favorite game in that genre. This game is incredible, and if you have played it or decide to play it because of this, let me know what you think of it. I hope you guys liked the video. There will be more in the future at some point. The script took me forever, and I trashed the last two because they just didn't feel correct. I don't know. That's all for now.